Hey guys, we'll see how long we last with this. I'm not sure if we're going to last particularly long. Not been a good week. Anyway, hey Peter, Mark, g'day. Stuart, hello. Bill, g'day. Mark Osborne. Stuart Hinks, g'day. James P, hello. Matt, g'day. Ian, hello. Yeah, I'm crook as a dog. I've been crook as a dog for a week. Yesterday I felt a bit better. Sort of trying to keep my distance a bit from everyone. Not talk too much. I'm doing okay then, but trying to downplay it a bit. But I haven't done much because I've been in bed. Fridge. So I almost didn't do it, and it's not very often I don't do a stream. But I was thinking, gosh, I haven't got anything to show anyone, and I'm not sure if I can talk for an hour. And I'm also not sure I can stay awake for an hour, to be honest. But anyway, I better give you an update and let you know what's actually happening and what's not, and whether there's anything happening or not. One thing that did happen is that this got a decent coat of paint. Had a couple more coats. It's all sort of ready to put together as far as the red paint goes. I still got to clean up some of the brass bits that got splashed, etc. Red was what we asked for, and the red is what we get. But yeah, it's kind of red. It's very awesome red. It's the same red as the canopy. It's not a bit bright. It's nice. A bit of brass on it. You got that water pump, you notice. It'd be nice to have everything looking this red and bright. But anyway, that's where we're at. Now, as far as getting it finished for the weekend, it's a bit of a cow, but I don't think it's going to happen. Unfortunately, I don't think this roller's going to be in steam this weekend, as much as I'd like to. I've got fuel in the car and all those sort of things to go to fridges this weekend. If I'm not feeling bright by Friday, probably going to pull the plug. But we'll see, fridge. We'll talk about it. But I haven't sort of let you know because I've sort of been thinking I'm going to get better soon. But at this point, I'm not really feeling like sleeping in the van. And yeah, so forth. We will catch up tomorrow sometime and have a talk about it. But what happened? Got this painted. Look, honestly, yesterday morning I come in here and I thought I'm going to have a clean up. We're going to get some work done. Yeah, still pile of brass at the lathe. We haven't had a I'll catch up with you, Dan. It might be tomorrow night. It'd be good at some point, will we? Anyway, I might be fine tomorrow. And there's still crap load of stuff we could do with scrape some grease off the roller if we run out of things to do. Honestly, I was going to go and give degreaser too, and I haven't done that. I haven't done anything. I had big plans this weekend. I was going to go non-stop get everything ready to go. I spent 3 days in bed, 4 days in bed. And probably, it's a long time since I've done that, so it probably needed it. So that's about it. That's what's happened. I haven't got any further to bending this up. I was going to come in and do this too. 90 proof alcohol might be the answer. The trouble is I don't get anything at all done the next day. Get the Roby back steaming would be great. I wonder how you're getting on with that smoke box and stuff. I did sit down with some CAD and converted this top quality Roby drawing. Right, that's what we got. Top quality Roby drawing. Converted it to a lot of numbers so that I can profile machine these. These need doing at some point, so we've got to basically turn this casting, finish the bottoms of them and make them all fit, and then grip them that way around and profile turn them to match that. So it's a job that needs doing, but there's a list of jobs that need doing. There's also a bit of a mix up at the foundry because people are too petty to... It's not even that they're petty. They like to have every organisation, every community organisation, I guess, has that 1 or 2 or 3 people or whatever, 5%, 20%, 10%, probably 10%, 5%, 10% of the members who think that setting the cat amongst the pigeons is the best way forward for any organisation, and that's their mission in life, to do that. Not particularly happy with a couple of members at the Foundry Club. They know who they are. But anyway, Dallas has gone walkabout, and not sure when he'll be back, but he's got my patterns for that and some other patterns as well. Not helpful because I can't do the job until I get the patterns back. But that's all sort of been happening in the background too, and I've been trying not to be too involved with it all. But as I've said before, that when 2 or 3 of us sit down in my age group that don't have a lot of real medical hold-ups or issues, I'm the youngest one of them. And I'm really the youngest active member, and maybe the most capable, I don't know, and probably the one with probably 4th or 5th down the list, I think, maybe, of people who've got some sort of knowledge about everything that happens at the club and the processes involved. So I kind of feel like if you're going to keep the community going, someone needs to step up and help with that, and I'm not feeling like that's the thing. I'm fighting that, I'm resisting it. I think most organisations where there's red tape and paperwork to be done are full of those sort of things. Your fridge, you're right. So anyway, I've got plans. Look, there's an open day at Glenray this weekend on Sunday, I believe. Now, it's not really my thing. And if I come down, might not be my thing to attend, but everyone else is most welcome to. I really, by Sunday, 2 days of fridges, I'm not feeling in any state of cleanliness or wakefulness to go and visit with actual people. But anyway. You should definitely go, even if you're leaving me at the shed to do stuff, Dan. Absolutely. No, I might feel like it too. A road trip to Glenray might be a fun afternoon. We'll see how we feel about that. I haven't discounted that I'm coming. It's just that I may not get as much done as I thought I was going to get done. And it seems like a trap. That was the other thing I was going to mention to you, and I didn't want to sound too... You probably already worked this out, Fridge, but the whole invitation leaflet circular thing that I got about the meeting, or about the meet and greet, sounded like a trap. So if you're willing to jump into that trap, well and good, but I'm not sure I am. Yeah, it's a trap, just so you know. This was something I was going to do and I forgot when I was red painting. I still will. Got these tokens and I wanted to finish these up and put some red paint in them. Because, anyway, that hasn't happened either. It's not a big job. I got the gaskets cut the other week. This didn't work, right? This seemed like a really good idea. I don't know if I touched base with that. Right, the idea was that we 3D print a soft jaw to hold that, to machine the inside. Right, which we've done. I've machined the inside of them. They're pretty nice. But this is too slippery. Probably a piece of... I wonder if there's a way to do this with a groove in it, so you could run a bit of wet and dry, like a bit of like emery tape around the groove. Hey, Raymond. Run a bit of emery tape around the groove to grip it, so that when it squeezes it in, it squeezes onto there. We put it through that groove and round there, and make it fraction oversized and around there, and make a circular groove in there just so that it's easy to push in. Anyway, that might work. It might be a future iteration of that, but this one doesn't work. So at about that point, I remembered that I had a collet chuck. After I... Yeah. So gripped him in a collet and had no further problems. But I run into them with I didn't have a ball end mill, a 1/2 inch ball end mill. It would have been nice if I did, but I haven't, and I really couldn't run to one. It occurred to me that I probably should, but I didn't. So I just got a code bit and run in there a 1/2 inch code bit and run in an ordinary machined hole, and that cut pretty nice on the bottom. Just a router bit really, and then took a cut at 0.2 intervals out the right distance in to give us that curve, like from this side machined in, and then just clean them up with a scraper. And I think they're pretty nice actually, but seats didn't happen, and I was going to have that finished by now, well and truly. Got to get this done, but didn't happen. I found a drawing for these. We had some discussion about this. I've sat down and done this, made steps in the right direction anyway on this. This is what we had, not original apparently, poked through the slots in the bottom of the studs. There's 6 studs that hang down along the foundation ring in the bottom of the boiler. Do I put a drawing? No. 6 studs hang down. And they've got 3/16 by 3/4 or something slots in them. And these pins poke through to sandwich the dash pan against the foundation ring. It's pretty lousy. And these are very hard to get out, and there isn't 6 of them the same. Like, there's not one of them the same really, there's not 2 of them the same. I'm not even sure this one's the same as itself. It depends which way up it is. And they're ugly. So found the Fowler drawing, and there's a little split cotter or linchpin. And by linchpin I mean this is a linchpin, but this has got a retainer ring on it. But a linchpin is apparently, according to all research, a pin like this with a square offset end on it, like that. This one's got a retaining ring on it, but that's what linchpin is. So there's linchpins all over the Fowler, without the fancy ring on them, and there's no room for the fancy ring, so we're not going to do that. But it's just a flat, basically a flat pin with an end on it like that, and sort of a half round top on it. That's not useful information. There's a bit of paper. There you go, look at this. Oh my gosh, that was a bit much. Just putting it out there for a minute. There we go, look at this go. So they're this shape. This is sort of full size. Right. And looking at the bottom of them, they're just straight like that. But according to the drawing, they've got a split through them like that, and a little bit of spring in them. So what happens is that this goes through the stud, so forth, with the slot of the dash pan here. This is all upside down, of course. And so the ground's that way. Make this perfectly clear. Road is that way. Clouds are this way. And ash band sits in here, and this has got 6 of these nice pins that go in here like that. So what I'm going to do is get 2 bits of 332 2.5mm plate cut this right shape for each one, and get some holes in them so we can plug weld them. The bar is sort of depending on whether you're looking on the ground looking up, which is that way. If you're actually sort of, yeah, anyway, it's a bit difficult. So the other thing I'm going to do is put a hole in here, and we put a round, decent big round ring in there, like so forth. Probably an airplane with engine, probably an American airplane there. It's got engine problems. Look. And the driver in the cockpit here, see, with the steering wheel and all. There's no room to put a pin through. There's no room to do anything like that. It's a good idea, and I've been racking my brains trying to make it a little bit more 20th century, 21st century. But the best thing is just to get 2 pieces of stuff and plug weld them so they're held on the end, and push a screwdriver in them, spread them apart so you can push them back together with your fingers, and push them in, and they'll be in there and they'll be good. While we're down that track, Dan, the reason I've drawn the driver is so that you know that the chemtrails are not accidental. Like, they're actually someone up there pulling the lever, flipping the switch, just so you know that there are chemtrails being laid by this dude in the cockpit. Because that's important. I mean, mostly Sudafed, to be honest, but just so we know, it's a pretty good, actually a pretty good drawing of a yeah. He's actually here in the balloon. He's also wearing, if you notice carefully at the details, you like the details, he's also wearing an echidna hat for Bill, but he's playing harp. This guy is not wearing a hat because he trusts in God. If I had a sharper pencil, you would see the echidna hat better, but anyway, you're going to have to live with that. It's not a very sharp pencil. This one might be more sharper. Can you see this one? Yeah, this one's sharper. So, this one's a 2B though. Oh, that one's a 2B too, so this should be just as easy to read, right? That's the engine misfiring. That's what you should be worried about. Absolutely. It's all, probably all misdirection. All misdirection, but that's the puffs of smoke coming out of the motor because it's misfiring. He's going down. These 2B pins was really nice, but if you're running on paint that hasn't got like a finish on it, like a clear on it, or some sort of water protection or stain protection on it, they tend to be very difficult to get off without a lot of wet and dry paper, 2000 grit wet and dry. So try not to do that. Voice of experience. Boar is the Lizard King. Hey, Randy. So anyway, that's how that works. Double Boost has been working on a similar pump. Who follows Double Boost, Big John Mills, is one of the most awesome YouTube personalities I've ever had the good fortune to meet and shake by the hand. Nice guy. Why he hasn't got a full-size engine of his own, I don't know. Probably because he's got more sense. But he does do a lot of work, YouTube work on engines. And he's been working on similar parts to this. Yeah, right. Raptor coat stuff's probably not good for anyone, right? Darren, g'day. It could be a pulse jet, but it's very unlikely that they put whatever stuff's in the chemtrail and into a tank and trust it to pulse jets. And he's done a job on this. I don't really understand. Someone else might know, but I'm not sure why he had to shorten this tap up. Maybe because the pump on... I really don't know why. Mark, maybe you could... Maybe you could elaborate why he did that. But he shortened it up from there to there, and I don't know why. But I've been gave these a bit of a polish. It's a work in progress, but that's something I have sat here and done over the last couple of days. Not particularly enthusiastically, to be honest. Hey, Chirp. I can draw hands. See? Now, by the way, that's how you know I'm not AI, because I can count, see? I was wondering if anyone picked that up. But Now you know. That's why you shouldn't buy. Okay, Mark said it was hitting something. I don't know what it was hitting. I don't know what it would be hitting. I really don't understand why you'd want it that close to something so that you can turn it on and off. I don't understand that. But anyway, maybe you'll send some pictures. I could ring him and I could ring him, or I could email him, or I could message him and ask him. He'd probably tell me much more. Oh, the last one was upside down. This one's not. Yeah, stop standing on your head. Chirpy's right. So what did I see on YouTube this week? Who did I have videos from that I watched? I have watched a little bit of YouTube this week because I haven't done much else, to be honest. And I've gone to sleep 5 minutes into a lot of YouTube videos. Chirpy that's what reminded me, Chirpy had a very good live. Like an excellent pattern making live. I really enjoyed that. It was a pretty good video. And there was another one about calculating the weight, the finished weights of patterns. Which is also very good. There was a couple from Bill. Now I need to congratulate Bill because Bill's pretty well fixed an ongoing problem at Bill's house. But anyway, congratulations, Bill, for sorting that out. And there's another one about chip heaters. We already knew that about chip heaters like 30 years ago, but you're preaching to the converted there. But you're right, they're not really ideal. They were very good in places like donors and portable housing and stuff like that in cold places where there are camps and where you required people who use them to have very little care and very little knowledge of how things worked. They were actually pretty good. And they could usually be put in so they didn't smoke or anything like that. But as far as like actual heating in proper places, they ain't much good. Be excellent in southern Queensland, that's right. Interesting. Now, the other thing is, right, I don't know if I covered this last week. I probably hadn't got the information. Lots happened in a week. Excuse me. I got a quote for making a gear, or a gear set for the roller steering. Emailed a quote through. Obviously didn't really want the job. That's what I took away from that. Really didn't want the job at all. The quote for a 1.25 inch circular pitch worm wheel with 17 teeth, 2.5 inches wide, a 3.5 inch bore, or 3 inch bore through the middle. And a single start worm to match, about 5 inches long, 6 inches long, something like that. I'm not going to say the figure because it's a bit scary. And anyway, so that's pretty much what I was quoted to do that. Not going to happen, right? That's a little bit crazy. Thread milling is probably a real good option in lathe, but I actually hadn't thought of that. It probably is a good option, but you have to have a few passes. What we're looking for is a put in the mill, and what we need is a universal dividing head with a gear chain that we can put on a mill, and then I could do it in my mill without any problems and make a steel worm and get the gear cast. Now, I had every intention this week of opening a CAD program and spending a few darkness hours actually CADing up that wheel. I've got a drawing for it. But let's break this down, right? This seems like you don't know what things are worth. Very easy to say, oh, you're out of touch, you're old, you're a boomer, etc. I don't think I am a boomer, but you know, I'm not yet. But let's break this down, right? If you're employing a bloke, if you're employing 3 blokes, and you're paying them, what, $52 an hour, something like that, which is pretty good in machinist wages. It's probably about what a machinist is worth in a place that's got plenty of work and can't get people, and you require some skill. It might not be either, but I'm guessing that's about what tradesman wages. That might be way too ambitious. It might be 40. But if they're working a 38-hour week, right? Say they're working a 40-hour week. It's 10 hours a day, 5 days a week on this. It's $500 a day per guy, right? Now, 2 guys to bake this in a week, I guess is probably realistic, right? So you're looking at what, $2,000 roughly, something like that. A couple of grand in wages. And then probably give them a couple extra days to get things in case something goes wrong. And then you've got to buy some tooling. You allow another $1,000 for tooling, like a cutter for it or whatever. If you're going to buy a cutter, or you've got to buy a couple of inserts, or there's a pretty reasonable chance that a place set up like that's probably got a tool holder or a cutter or something that they can use. So, but even so, at $120 an hour, that's still only $4,000 to do it, mate. In the worst case scenario, 2 guys, 10 days each. I would like to think that if I was making this in the machine shop, I could have it out in 3 or 4 days. It's not that difficult. And rough up the wheel, and then there's a bit of time cutting the teeth. But even if you've got to make 4 passes with an end mill and crank the head over about the right place a couple of 3 or 4 times and do it the old-fashioned slow way, I still think that he's getting at us by about 100% profit. That's where I'm at. Anyway, worst case scenario, I was expecting about 2.5 to 3, right? I was thinking at 3,000, I would probably nearly go ahead with it. Take me a bit to pay it off, but I sort it out, and I got a couple of months to do it. On 6 grand, that's a bit crazy. So they obviously don't need the work. And with GST, that's another $600. So 7, something like that. Nearly $7,000. So might be a project video series. Yes, we could probably do that. So the idea is to make, because I've been given this some thought, the idea is to make a pattern. Now the pattern's a bit of a challenging thing, because the worm wheel pattern, I only put a hand in the price on this page. We're wasting a lot of paper because of you guys. Right? Right, it's got a hole through it. Right. See, worm wheel's sort of that shape with, like, if we're going to, teeth sort of that shape. So to cast this, if we put a parting line this way, right, you've got this piece sticking out here, which won't come out of the sand, right? You could make a, hang on, I've got bits here. We can demonstrate this. This one I prepared earlier, right? This is about the size of it. Right, we can make something like this. And make this pattern this sort of shape, extruding from the center, and make cores to fit in there, so that you drop this in the hole, the pattern in the hole, and then lift it out, and then drop the cores in, and that gives you the gear shape. That's one way of doing it. I think the teeth in the bottom have got to be round too. That's the thing, Chirp. Could do it that way. Or, hear me out, we could have it so that it splits through here, this pattern, right? And the centre lifts out on like on a tape like this. When it's all rammed up. Darren, yeah, but you're only filing yours up a bit of brass, it's different. Did I say that? That's a terrible thing to say, and I'm sorry. I'm remorseful for that. Anyway, Chip, your customers are English too, so obviously they don't pay as much. Have this piece lift out, and have these teeth with it on a dovetail, right? Like this, all the way around. So lift this out, pack this in the sand, right? I'll probably have it, muck this up now. Probably have it angled the other way slightly, like this, right? So you can pack this in the sand, and then you can lift this out the top, then you can use a magnet and a steel and a nut or something inside, or a screw in these and a nut and a magnet, and pull these out the side as you go around. So that's a thought too. If we were to split this pattern here, for example, and we split the sand mould across here, right, through just at the side of these teeth, then we could lift this centerpiece out and pull these out gently out of the sand, because they've all got, I mean, there's draft on all of them. Pull them out, like dovetail them here, like something like this. Don't know if you can see that. Lift this out, pull these teeth out individually, put the top back on, pour it. I think that might be how I'm doing it. Anyway, this will be, look, this has got 2mm clearance. It's about 500% better than the one that's in it. At least like 10 times better than what's in it. So someone's already built up the old one and remachined it, and they haven't done it any favours. Yes, you probably could. What we need is someone with a universal dividing head and a fairly lump of a cutter to do that. And it's really only, if you were going to do that, I think I mean, the hub and this centre boss and everything's all pretty simple. I think you would just buy a new bit of stock, it'd be cheaper, and make it and machine it out of that. That's the other thing, is you could make a core box with a sodium silicate core that you lift the gear out of and drop that in a hole and pour in that. So that's another thought too. To do the teeth outside, like Chirp says, that's another thought as well. I'd have to have a look and make it. Anyway, I'm giving it some thought. No real direction on that yet. But the worm's easy enough. If we've got a universal dividing head, the worm's easy enough. And looking at this figure here, a new universal dividing head from Vertex is only $1,700. Really. And there's probably, honestly, a bit of cast iron hollow bar, or a bit of cast iron bar off-cut from mate's rate somewhere, and a bit of 4140 that's 4 inches diameter and 6 inches long. It's really, honestly, it's not, there's probably $300 worth of materials in it. So that's where we're at. Yeah, you're right, Chirp. Move 5 to 10% of the weight. I would like to have a gear, if I was going to cast one, that I didn't have to take anything off. If I had a gear that I could clean up with a file, I'd take the sand marks out with a file and drop it straight on the straight on. I'd be pretty, and machine the bore and drop it straight on and be pretty happy. But honestly, rather than cast it in steel, I'd probably just make a steel gear. If just buy a bit of steel stock and cut the teeth if I wanted to go and buy a dividing head. I can do it in my mill. These teeth don't have to be perfect profile, but if you do the root in here and then make another cut and drop it over 10% and do it on a mandrel so you can turn it round and do a cut up the side there and a cut up this side, then angle the head over a bit further and do another cut, another cut, another cut, another cut. You'll get sort of a semblance of a curve there, close enough for a tooth, and a gear this size, and then rub with a file. So on my mill is more than capable of making this gear if I had a dividing head and a week to do it. I'm not even sure it'd take that long. I think get a mate to probably call in a favour to rough the blank out and just machine it. But the other thing is that a friend of mine who's just got a heap of gears cut put me onto a foundry that can cast any grade of steel. And they're probably worth a talking to because he reckons it only costs $300 or $400 to get this gear actually cast in steel. And if we were to do that, then we'd be pretty happy. How big is it? Total diameter? About, have I got a ruler? No, I haven't got a ruler. Yeah, I've got a ruler. Got a ruler that reads backwards. It's a Starrett ruler, of course it reads backwards. 7.5 inches. I would say you'd probably make this out of cast iron on steel. You'd probably do it on bronze, and I could do that myself. The other issue with this, right, is that this teeth have an helix angle because the worm is this shape, right? Looking at it, the shaft through the centre. This is simplified. It's not really this shape. Right, and then the gear runs basically in here. Actually, the one that's on it is probably that shape with this, right? So, because of that, these gear teeth, looking at the edges of them, are actually on this angle to match. About 7 inches. Like Bill says, it's enough for the girls he goes out with. So that's another reason why this won't just pull out of the sand. And other systems need to be put in place to make it work. So if you were to make each of these teeth in modules like this that pull out, I think that's the easiest and quickest way to do it, to be honest. That's the first prototype I'm going to pursue. But as far as doing this, you just got to set the dividing head across at that angle and cut them all. And if you've got the thing on a mandrel, so you got to work that out. If you flip it end to end, it's no longer on the right angle. a bit big for my lathe to free hob this. But anyway, and it's a fair lump of a tap. I mean, it's this diameter. The cutter's got to be sort of this diameter and pretty substantial. Anyway, giving this some thought, I think we're just going to make a gear. Never say never. I don't know when we're going to start it or when we're going to do it. We're going to put the original gear, or the existing gear, and everything back in together on hopefully this weekend, put it all back on the roller. So that might be a very good thing to do. But I think this would improve the handling of the roller and the safety of the roller and the noise of the roller and the controllability of the roller, hands down, more than any other thing on the machine. So that's something that needs doing. Anyway, that's what I've been thinking about this week when I've done nothing in between naps, and I've done a lot of napping. The existing gear is wrong. The existing gear is wrong, right? Yes. Correct. No. That's not right. The existing gear looks something like this, right? This is the teeth profile of the existing gear. Right? And there's the new one. Now, this wouldn't have worked because if we put this existing gear at full tooth profile, which would actually mesh with the worm quite well. If we put that in the gear case, these teeth would bang against the gear and wear it out. Right, if you could even move it. I don't think the gear case would fit. So what they've done, right, the thing that's happened with the existing gear is that someone's had a gear that looks something like this, and we'll use a Sharpie here for clarity. They've basically shortened this up like this. Take care, chap. Good to see ya. Right, on each teeth with the grinder, which is ugly, but it brings it down to the right diameter, see? Sort of. And as such, that's great. But what you have is, if we draw around this, see we've got the Sharpie out now. We should have got the Sharpie out to start with. If we look at the worm, so like the worm profiles like that. Hey, William. Big shoes to fill there, William. Right? The worm looks something like this. Right? And we put these chopped off teeth like this in here. They've got literally enough room in here to put your finger in. And that's how much backlash you got. So you've got, this worm is a little bit loose on the shaft, right? It rocks backwards and forwards probably that much, right? And on the radius, this gear here on this keyway is a bit loose. It rocks back probably that much again, gives you that much backlash, right? And you've got this distance in here before anything starts to move, which is probably that much backlash. So on the steering wheel, it's probably nearly 3/4 of a turn. On the steering wheel, you've got sort of 2/3 of a turn before anything starts to happen. And it also means that this gear is free to move on the chains probably about the same amount before it intersects with the worm. So, because of the nature of the chain steering, which is on about a 5-inch diameter radius, 5-inch diameter, like sort of worm, a screw like this. That's a terrible way to draw a screw, but it's a shaft with the chain wrapped around it. 3/4 of a turn, or 2/3 of a turn, is about 6 or 7 inches of chain play. So when you go over the camber on the road with the roller, right, you're driving along the middle of the road with the roller. I'm going to need a clean sheet here. You can't understand any of that. Right, let's draw a steamroller. This is another reason you can tell I'm AI, because I can draw steamrollers, right, and pretty good steamrollers at that. Something like that. Anyway, Fridge's quality road, and every road around New South Wales has a camber on it, and if you drive up the middle of it, that's all very well, but when you get over to one side, this kicks round sideways, and if it's kicking round, say 8 inches on the chains, it can easily kick sort of that much and have you steering in the opposite direction. So that's the problem. We'll put a flywheel on here. And what else? Don't know what else you put on here. Some back wheels. So I'm not very good at drawing steamrollers, to be honest. So steers like a boat. Not helpful. The only thing I ever had worse in as far as vehicles that steered worse was a Model T Ford, but that was years ago, and that wasn't good. But it did exactly the same, a very similar thing, only, yeah, worse. So that's why the steering is not adequate, because if you're coming along the side of the road trying to keep off to the traffic and stuff, you don't have to steer all that far off the road or hit a bump or go somewhere you shouldn't to have the thing pointing in the wrong direction and out across the middle of the road or into the gutter. And that doesn't fill me with any peace, really. At all. Anyway, I'd like to see this fixed. That's my thoughts. This is the one thing that I'd really like to see fixed. This forecastle issue here has got a temporary fix on it from years ago, probably when I look at it and put it all back together. It's going back together. It also has a linchpin we need to make for that. So that's what we're just going to put that back together. We're going to put... Anyway, I think the steering is sort of probably the thing that needs to be done. Another thing is that with this ratio, it's only 10-1. With this one, it's 17 turns to the 1. So it's got to be a whole lot lighter in the steering too. If you stop dead and you're not moving and you have to point the thing into a corner to do a 3-point turn, you just can't move it, basically. You just can't move it. So, that's how that is. So, after driving other rollers, and I have driven a few other rollers, this is probably the worst one I've ever driven. It's the worst steering issue, and I've always wondered why that was, and it can't just be because it's so heavy. But the reason being is that it's not geared low enough, and it's almost seriously, it's got that much backlash that you can't control it. Anyway, that's that. I hope everyone's down with that. But as far as progress on any of this stuff this weekend, it hasn't happened because I've been in bed. No, I'm feeling pretty crappy about it, to be honest, and really not feeling happy about it. In fact, I got past the angry stage, but there for a couple of days I was thinking, yeah, I really got things to do. 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 I only have one Saturday a month off, and got things to do. But we got through without doing anything, which is probably the way forward from here. James said about the launch. Nothing's happened over here except we've got piles of brass and bronze. I haven't even pulled this out to put the 6 holes in there. I was going to put the holes in each end of this and get it going. Hasn't happened. Oh, crap. Not a nice brass wolf. Not enough to cast the ear out of. Apart from that, no progress on the whistle. No progress on this car. I don't know if James saw that last week. This is something that I'm sort of got to go and see the guy about when I get some holes in this base. Got to work out. I think I'm just going to machine that down to fit round that plate. And put some holes in it. I found some nice brass wood screws to screw it down. TIG that on there. Plug weld that in there. And probably TIG this as we go around and bend it to match the profile, I think. If that's the easy way. So that's the... It's not even a belt guard because nothing's going to worry the belt. But it's more stop things dropping down the hole sort of a guard. That's sort of more what it is, because if you're parting off something small and you drop it over the back and it goes down the hole and it hits the belt pulley and then it ends up on the floor here somewhere, and you've got to make another one. But that's just how it is in this world. So that's something we're making, but I haven't done much to that, and it's not really a priority, but it's one of those things. Yeah, I'm feeling a bit ordinary actually. Sorry guys. Yeah, I've got quite a lot of CAD work done on the metal work for the roller. Bits like these, Mark, I've got sort of mine drawn up anyway, and I think we can pull the drawings off the measurements off yours and sort of convert it. I have to come up sometime and measure it up. And we'll go from there. If you had a cloth measuring tape, might be a good idea. Run around the outside, I think that's what I'm going to do. There's the motion covers. Just looking, there's sort of, it's another job I want to do this weekend. Just hold up a bit of cardboard around the cylinder covers on the roller and get the profiles for the motion covers done, and I haven't got there yet. Oh crap. I meant to have sort of a rough one drawn out on paper, so cartridge paper, so that we could actually cut them out with the scissors and see if they fit. Hasn't happened. A couple of spare ones of these. Make it 4 of them that get made, and if we're going to press them, set them up and press them. And like John says, just a toe ball and a washer behind it, or a round hole in something. And he reckons we can probably press that without any problems at all. So I make a couple extra ones of these. Just so probably I can sell them, pass them on or swap them or something. What else has got to be done for the roller? I've got a toolbox for the back, a wooden toolbox that I'm in the process of being built to, or having built, which would be really nice. For things like tokens and logbooks and clean rags and stuff. So the gloves and so forth. So that's another job. There's quite a lot of like steel parts that need to be made for this. Those cotter pins or lynch pins for the ash pan. Quite a lot of bits. Anyway, that's where we're at. Now, because some of you are feeling left out, who's left? We're hours down and everyone seems to still listen. I don't know how much longer I can talk, but no, interest of full disclosure, there's a scale model build off. I haven't sort of been going to say this, but it sort of starts this week. With an online community that I'm part of and have been for quite some time. And the call goes out that we're going to have a build off if you're interested in entering building a scale model plastic truck, which is kind of cool and something I used to do years ago. Enter and then see if you get to it, basically, and if you don't, you don't. But the deadline's in. I like deadlines. They get things done. Anyway, take care, Bill. In the interest of making it sort of a build that I would probably build, I've been racking my brains, and there's some very nice English kits of English lorries. They're very expensive, and when I look at that and think, halfway to a gear set to build something like that, I'm not spending $500 building a plastic truck. It's not going to happen. Now I'm thinking, my CAD skills aren't bad. Let's have a bit of a look around. And anyway, I'm not supposed to start it till Friday night, and I haven't started it, but I have done some bits that are going to be completely different to what I've done in the interest of seeing how it looks and the fit up and so forth. Got to base it around a proper kit. I don't know how much of a kit I'll use, but I did have a Volvo F12 kit sort of on standby for quite some time in the cupboard. So I dragged that out and sort of thought, well, what can we make out of this that's going to look all right? What do these wheels look like, etc., etc., etc. And what have other people done? You're following this carefully because this is going to be a big part of my life in the next 6 months. And something I can do overnight when I'm not doing anything else, because I find that I come home and watch YouTube and stuff, and I could probably do both. So preliminary planning and so forth. Anyway, this is what we end up with. Right? This is 3D printed, and it's not on a real quality setting, because on finest quality this was going to take like 21 hours to print, and ain't no one can live that long enough. But there are some issues with it. You can see the print lines in it because they're a little bit tall. This is 1/24 scale. And I've CAD this up because there ain't no drawings, there ain't no nothing on Foden stuff. On Atkinson stuff, which doesn't really interest me. There's a lot of stuff on Atkinson. There's quite a bit on Leyland, and quite a lot of other things. But on Foden, because the actual truth of it is that Foden had something like 48 like official cab designs in the 1940s alone. It's like, yeah, 5 different ones a year. But yeah, basically, Highfield Primer or some really good, yeah, it does a bit, David. So they're not terrible quality, and a coat of either Highfield Primer or some decent filler and sand and sponge or a block, and it'd come back pretty good. So anyway, this is the FG model Foden, and the other good thing about Foden is that because there's so many different designs of the cab, and when you look at them online, you can't see two the same. Right? There isn't actually two the same. They're all different. So you can sort of the preserved ones left, they're all different. So you can sort of pick and choose. Some of them got 3 windows in the back. Some of them got 1 window in the back. Some of them have got this strip on the side. Some of them don't. Some of them have round headlights. Some of them have dual headlights. Some of them have got vents in the top here. Some of them don't. Some of them got vents in the side, and some don't. Anyway, you should appreciate this as a CAD job, if nothing else, right? I've been messing a couple of hours a day or a couple of hours of a night on this, right? This is square. That's just my camera. If we do this, because there's some funny angles on it. You should appreciate this as a CAD job, right? It's not just tapered front to back, but it's got a curve in there, see? Across that way, and it's got a curve across that way, right? So I've learned a lot about it's got a curve that way. It's flat on the back, but it's got sort of a double compound curve across the top. And these guards aren't just exactly round. They've got they're double ellipses. One that way and one that way when you look at it. So I don't know if this is even something I really want to get into. I could probably, I've got a desk in there that I could lay it all out on. What I did discover with this prototype is that gluing those guards on in the right position and the right angle and nice and straight is almost impossible. But only the back is flat, that's right. So what I've done with this prototype is run a strip on the mud guard so that they're easy, they key into place and they're easy to fit up. Also excuse all the glue on them because I actually got my tuber glue out and had no luck at all with it and discovered that it was actually super glue remover, not glue. So that's probably why I couldn't get it to stick and got it everywhere. But anyway, we won't go there. Anyway, there's about 37 bits in the drawing I've done. The pictures are on Discord. It's a Foden, probably the world's slowest truck, a 1950s Foden FG. It's very Spartan inside. It's got a steering wheel and 3 pedals and a gear lever. You're sitting next to a Gardner 6LW. It's got gear reduction hubs in the back and worm drive diffs. So it'll go anywhere at 130 mile an hour basically. That's it. So that's the first time I've ever glued anything out like that in plastic ever. So a few weeks ago I sat down and did this, right? And this is not a particularly high quality print off my printer either, but it's all right. And I've called in a favour with a friend who's been awesome about it, and he's actually resin printed the parts for this. So I put some filler in the bottom there. See, that's enough to cover that. But haven't actually started this because none of these parts are going to be what's used in the model. So you're all stunned now. See, don't think that I'm in any way, shape or form less crazy than I am, because that's not how it is. But this is all just proof of concept. See if it works. There's a few issues, like there's some sag here in the headlights. If you notice, they weren't supported well enough. This grill on this itineration didn't work, and I finished all that. It needed some vent doors in the side here, I decided. I'm not really happy with these inlets here in the vertical columns. I'm wondering if I printed it that way up so the back was flat, whether you get better results, but I'm not sure you will, because you lose quality on the inside as well. And I'd very much like to make that visible. If anyone's got any real feedback on this, go for it. Tell me where I'm going wrong. But it also gives you some idea what sort of size it is. This is the Gardner diesel. Sits in here somewhere like this with the cover over it. Nice. All the ones I ever saw when I was a kid had a nice woolen blanket draped over it, which made you all prickly when you were sitting beside it, in the heat. Don't know why people did that. Some of them were quilted, like proper quilted cover, probably should have had on it. And the roof, of course, is not simple either, because it's not flat to start with. It's flat that way. But it's not flat this way. It's flat this way. So maybe you can print it that way up too. That would make it easy to clean up, because your support would be, this support here would be the one you're cleaning up, which has got a bit more behind it. And these, see, this is a bit of a problem here around the top. Anyway, didn't think that through. It looked like the easiest and quickest. To be honest, it looked like the easiest and quickest particular English truck from my childhood to make. But I don't know. It's the same with the other thing too that I picked out is the same. Basically, it's the same wheel track and everything as the Volvo, so a lot of the bits are interchangeable. Not interchangeable, but they can be made to work. Anyway, that's, you'll probably see excerpts from that when I think of it. Still got to put a gearbox on this. I have got one of the few things I bought was a resin kit of a Perkins P6 in 1/24 scale. with a gearbox attached, but I don't think it's the right box because probably this had phone zone 6-speed with 2-speed override box, or yeah, which is fairly distinctive on this. So we're probably not going to make it a big truck. I don't know. We're probably only going to make a 4-wheel tractor, like prime mover, which is only, according to the spec sheets, it's only about 10-foot wheelbase, something like that. So it won't be huge. It'll probably be this long. These were still kicking around the farms in my childhood. It was long, slow trips to town from the farm with loads of potatoes and animals with these things. Usually overloaded, usually tarped off, usually raining, usually 3 inches deep of brown mud. And then later in my teenage years, probably getting them going and messing around and running them around the block and stuff. But never ever took it any further than that. I very much like a full-size one, but life's too short. And anyway, no updates on that, but Nick's pretty well onto that. I have to ask him. We will have an update from Nick. We might even get him in live stream at some point this year. Nick Jarrett is a top guy. He finishes it, he'd probably be very, very happy to sell it back to me, to be honest. If it come to that. This thing tends to be a bit all-consuming, to be honest, as far as steam goes. Anyway, I'm going to call it because we've been like an hour and a half and I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't really going to talk, but it must be nervous or something because I'm feeling like bedtime now. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I've spilled the beans on this now. That's the thing, TMB. I really don't have space or time for it. There are reasons I don't have things like full-size 1940s truck and a 2-foot gauge steam locomotive and a row of hit and miss engines and a couple of miniature traction engines. Is that there's no room and there's no time. I do feel a little bit more in the zone, but I'm going straight to bed. So take care. Be kind to each other, especially to me. I'm going to need it. There'll be more updates on Discord than on YouTube about this. I'm sort of, we'll get a little bit done, but I'll post pictures, but it's not really a project yet and we haven't started it. But I'd like, don't know about those window surrounds at the top. There's some awkward, this is where I'm not happy at the moment. So, I think maybe make them a bit deeper, the cutout, so that we can sand them back nice. I'm not sure. Still thinking about it, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But it'll be a fun CAD exercise anyway, if nothing else. And I'll learn a lot about the CAD program, if nothing else. And probably a little bit about printing. Anyway, take care. Really appreciate all you guys joining in. I'm back at work tomorrow. I'm feeling, it's Thursday, I'm really not feeling it. And the work is pretty crazy at the moment, so I've been head down and up to my elbows in mostly solar powered watches and stuff like that, other stupid electronics devices, and it'd be very, very nice to have the rest of the week off to get this done and get the fridges, but I don't think that's going to happen. I'll get the fridges, I think, at this point. I'd like to. We'll see what happens. Anyway, working beetle fridges, if you want to come down and catch the flu and spend some time hanging around drinking beer and not doing anything particularly productive and doing some cleaning on the roller, that's great. But no one in this chat's ever likely to turn up, although we've had some pretty distinguished visitors in the last little while, and that's great. So good to see you all. Hope you didn't leave too disappointed. And anyway, more soon, and I'm out. Thanks for watching, guys.